After a magical 2009 season, TCU finds itself undefeated again. Its sights set on a BCS game and perhaps a national championship. Led by a high-flying offense and a punishing defense, Mastermind Gary Patterson is drawing up plans for another big bowl bash. Wyoming comes to town thinking upset.
You gotta believe! And it starts with you guys!
Can TCU win again and win big? We find out from Fort Worth, Texas. Sunny day in Fort Worth, Texas, one of the hottest teams in college football. Number 5 TCU continues its quest for a national championship against visiting Wyoming. And here come the Horned Frogs. Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Fort Worth, Texas. Great to have you with us. Dave Ryan alongside Aaron Taylor, former offensive lineman with the Green Bay Packers. And Aaron, Fort Worth, all we're talking about is a possibility of a national championship game for the first time in school history. But the bottom line is they got to keep winning and winning big.
Yeah, there's no question. Non-automatic qualifiers have to be dang near perfect. And, well, quite frankly, TCU has done that. 3 out of the last 4 years, they finished top 10 in the country among the likes of some very good teams. This year, sitting at number 5, and we all know things can happen down the stretch. TCU is within striking distance of the national championship.
One update in the top 5. Ohio State knocked off Indiana in the Big Ten, 38-10, so they are now 6-0. We talk about why TCU is so good. It all starts, Aaron, with a quarterback. There's no question. A leader in Andy Dalton. He's the FBS all-time leader in wins.
Yeah, he's got 34 wins, does a tremendous job on the football field. His delivery is tremendous. He sits in the pocket. He's poised. He can make plays with his legs. But make no mistake about it, this TCU team is a run-first football team. They grind it out to the tune of 275 yards per game on the ground because of these 2 young men. Ed Wesley and Matthew Tucker do a tremendous job, but they're not a one-dimensional team only, TCU.
Defensive end Wayne Daniels leads the way, 4.5 sacks. Jerry Hughes was their star last year. This year, he's the sack master.
Jerry who? I mean, it takes a player like Wayne Daniels to be able to forget about somebody like him, but there's a reason in players like Wayne Daniels that this TCU team is number 3 in the country.
Well, the big news for Wyoming, not necessarily good news at all. Their starting quarterback, star sophomore and the Mountain West Conference Freshman of the Year, Austin Carter-Samuels, is not on the trip, an undisclosed injury. Head coach Dave Christensen of Wyoming told us during the walkthrough yesterday he's going to keep a lid on the injury and not announce what happened, but he will be back next week. That means Dax Crum is a starter for the first time since 2008.
And thank God for this young man. He's got some experience in his team because he's going to need it today. But just like my old college, Lou Holtz coach used to say, son, it's not about making the perfect play, it's about eliminating the bad one.
I like that impression. Very good. Kaylee Hartung is on the field, our sideline report today. She has much more on what happened with TCU finding out about the Wyoming quarterback change.
Thanks, Dave. The story unfolded here late yesterday afternoon as Wyoming finished their walkthrough around 3 o'clock. Coach Christensen told me that Austin did not make the trip, but by 3:30, Coach Gary Patterson had already gotten wind of it by a rather circuitous route. His wife, Kelsey Patterson, told me she saw the story on Twitter, sent her husband a text message, assuming if she'd heard the news, so would he. Coach Patterson told me that was the first he'd heard of it. Texas A&M may have the Aggies, but TCU has Kelsey Patterson.
Clearly, Kelsey is the eye of the sky for Coach Gary Patterson. Kaylee and I were taking a tour of these fabulous facilities here at TCU yesterday. We passed Gary Patterson in the hallway and said, I just got a text from my wife. What do you know about this Wyoming quarterback situation?
It's always always good to have them all.
College football on the CBS College Sports Network is brought to you in crystal clear high definition. TCU has won the toss. They deferred. Wyoming will receive the kick here. Kevin Sharples will kick off. Ghali Muhammad, Mazi Agbana are deep to receive here for Wyoming and the visiting Whites. Muhammad is also a linebacker. A versatile player for the Cowboys. Wyoming comes off a win against Toledo last week. Out of the Mid-American Conference on the road. Muhammad takes it out. Ghali across the 15, stood up, put down at the 18-yard line. That's where Wyoming will take over 1st and 10. Let's take a look at our Quarterback Profile brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Wyoming starter is Dax Crum, the senior out of Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah, he played 12 games in 2008, so he's got a little bit of experience. He's an electrical engineering major, so he's a pretty bright guy. And the bottom line, he's got to be able to control the football and delegate today. He's got to be able to rely on his teammates.
Went 2-3 as a starter in 2008. Last game was a tough loss, as you saw, to Bowling Green. First snap as a starter since then. Alvester Alexander on the end around to McNeil. The pass to Crum. A double pass to Wyoming Manny Burkhalter. Who's got it? Travis Burkhalter on the double pass. A long play that carries 38 yards. And Wyoming with some early trickeration in business.
Well, Wyoming did such a good job last week of running the fake punt and the fake field goal to be able to keep the chains moving. They go to their special packages early, and what better way to get some momentum going early in the ball game than throwing the double pass to the wide open receiver. Great job. TJ Johnson comes over there to make the tackle late, but we talked to Gary Patterson. He said it was imperative that they played assignment good football. TCU was not that well on that last play.
McNeil threw a touchdown pass. They caught one last week from David Leonard on a flanker option. Now we've got flags and whistles stopping play.
False start. Offense, number 76. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Cowboys back up 5. So, Aaron, trick plays. When they work, they can be fabulous for a team's momentum early, right?
There's no question. He'd get all fired up and jacked up and makes head coaches on the other side get a little upset, as we saw Gary Patterson there. But this offense needs some life breathed into it, and I love that play call. But trick plays are trick plays, but the bottom line is execution. Wyoming executed beautifully on that last one.
Marcel Gibson last week caught a fake punt for a big first down play. Crum is throwing. David Leonard, his star receiver, brings it in, but there is a flag down. Gain of 5 if it stands. We'll get the call here from our referee, Dan Romeo.
Illegal motion. Offense, number 6. 5-yard penalty. Replay first down.
That's Robert Haran, the freshman from Los Angeles, costing the Pokes 5.
Penalties is something that Wyoming's done a very good job of, only averaging 4.5 per game, but you almost negate the momentum that you generated with that fake pass early on, shooting yourself in the foot with 2 back-to-back penalties. Any sort of momentum that this Wyoming team had is now gone.
Saw Dave Christensen, second-year head coach, first ever in Wyoming history to go to a bowl game in his first year and win it. Thriller over Fresno State New Mexico Bowl last year. Double overtime. Crum is throwing, and Haran drops it. Incomplete. Let's take a look at our Geico difference makers.
Well, on the Wyoming side on the offense, you have Zach Bolger. 2 touchdown receptions lead the team. The bottom line is he's their big play option. And on the other side of the football, TJ Johnson, we saw he had a big tackle on that first play. Preseason All-American, great job stopping the run and defending the pass. He'll be a factor today.
TJ Johnson, outstanding free safety. Had a pick 6 against SMU in that road win here in the Dallas Metroplex a couple weeks back. Second down. Alvester Alexander carries through traffic. That's put down by Tank Carter. Gain of 6. Tanner Brock, team's leading tackler, involved in the stop as well. 4-2-5 defense for TCU. Aaron, what does that mean for an offense trying to attack the 2 backers?
Well, it means you have to be able to control the line of scrimmage first and foremost. Don't let the 2 for the 2 linebackers fool you. They bring their safeties down a lot. TJ Johnson and Takarian Cuba. Alex Ibiloye, when he's healthy, they like to bring those guys down around the line of scrimmage. They're going to get 7 in the box and make you beat them.
Bolger split out to the right of Crum. Option look, handoff. Alexander. Hit by several purple jerseys. But Karen Cuba, the first to get to him, the junior from Tyler, Texas, east part of the state. Alexander lost the helmet at the end of that run, got hit hard in traffic.
You notice with the ball being on the plus 41-yard line, TCU is leaving its defense out there. It's going into its punt safe. You might see this a lot today with the fake punt that Wyoming ran last week in their game against Toledo.
Marcel Gibson grabbed the pass on that fake play and went 30-plus yards for a first down. All-world returner. Jeremy Curley back to receive the Austin McCoy punt. Grabs a fair catch inside the 10, TCU's first possession. Let's take a look at the quarterback profile brought to you by 5 Hour Energy for TCU. It is, of course, senior Andy Dalton. Last week, Aaron, against Colorado State, he set 2 more school records.
Yeah, he does such a tremendous job. All-time touchdown leader at the school, completions, attempts, touchdowns, yards, you name it. But the number that I like the most is 34 wins. The statistic that makes the biggest difference for quarterbacks is the wins and losses. And there, Andy Dalton's fantastic.
Ed Westlake is the featured back here to the right of Andy Dalton. Had 2 touchdowns in the win at Colorado State last week. Carries here on first down, breaks it outside. And Devin Harris, who is wearing the number 12, very special jersey number at Wyoming, makes the tackle for the Cowboys. Let's take a look again, Aaron, at the Geico difference makers.
Well, Jeremy Curley's 149 all-purpose yards per game means he's an explosive weapon both in the pass game and in the return game. And defensively, Shamil Gary leads the Mountain West in tackles. This young man has to bring his level of physical play to his teammates and be contagious. Wyoming's got to be able to swarm to the football today.
Aaron, Shamil Gary has a pretty historic record this year. Interception of Kellen Moore, his only pick of the season from Boise State. Pass brought in by Jimmy Young. Harris makes the tackle, knocks him out of bounds at the 21. It will be a TCU first down. Gain of 9 for the Horned Frogs.
Great job by Devin Harris. Well, this is TCU's bread and butter. It's the play action. Just roll Andy Dalton out to his left, and he puts the ball right where it needs to be. And great job catching the football by Jimmy Young. Drops was a big problem for this offense last week. That's great concentration on that last play.
Young caught a 39-yard touchdown catch last week against Colorado State, Mountain West Conference play. It's Wesley, first down run. Harris has been very busy. Makes the tackle, gain of 8. Already 3 tackles for Devin Harris, wearing the number 12 in honor of Ruben Narcisse. Tragically killed in the car accident on a drive back from Fort Collins to Laramie, about an hour or so. Ruben and teammates were visiting some friends in Fort Collins near the Colorado State campus. One of them fell asleep. Ruben was not driving, but was tragically killed in that accident. And every game, a Wyoming player, linebacker, will wear his jersey number in his honor. Pistol look here, Wesley on the handoff, runs right, and gets steamrolled and sent down hard.
A lot of teams are going to this pistol lineup and formation where you have the quarterback that's 4 yards lined up deep and the running back lined up behind him. Still gives you the benefits of being able to throw from the shotgun, but also gets the football into the running back's hands faster so that as he heads downhill, he's got better vision to be able to make cutbacks or a head of steam if he's going to run between the tackles.
First down for TCU. Matthew Tucker into the game along with Wesley. Tucker is dangerous. Number 29. His first carry. Napton from behind brings him down. Gabe Napton. He's a star linebacker for Wyoming. Had more than 100 tackles last year. Let's go back down to Kaylee.
Thanks, Dave. This Wyoming team is still working its way through the tragedy of Ruben Narcisse's death. This week we learned of the very close relationship between Wyoming coach English and Ruben Narcisse. Coach English told us that Ruben's death was absolutely the hardest thing he's ever been through. He has a son the same age. They both worked out all summer together, and it was Coach English who made the call to Ruben's family.
Play stoppage here, Kaylee, on the field. Imagine how difficult that must have been. Marty English, Aaron, on the phone with us this week, choking back tears. Such an emotional situation for him. He recruited Ruben out of South Florida when Ruben had originally committed to USF before the coaching change with Jim Levitt there. Dalton play fake is throwing. Sideline route incomplete. Looking there for a sprinting Young. And Shamil Gary on coverage. Imagine, as a teammate, as a coach, trying to overcome that loss. Ruben Narcisse would have been, Coach English said, a 4-year starter for them.
Yeah, there's no question. He had tremendous talent, but more than that, he was a guy that walked around and always seemed to have a smile on his face. People that didn't even know him very well were gravitated towards his kid. He just had one of those kind of effervescent personalities, so the loss was felt hard by all members of this team, and particularly the defensive coordinator, Marty English.
On third down, Dalton keeps Andy to midfield. Has a first down for TCU, gain of 13. He's a very good running quarterback, and the offensive line did the job there.
Well, they are a very experienced offensive line. This is just a quarterback draw. Freeze it right there. Look at this running lane. I think I could probably pick up 10 or 12 yards with that much of space to be able to run through the football. Andy Dalton, the leading rusher on this team at times, is able to make plays with his feet, particularly on third down, as we saw there.
Wayman James into the game now, along with Tucker. James, an outstanding young running back out of Sherman, Texas. Dalton, time, Dalton, here's it out, run in, touchdown, Jeremy Curley, 50 yards, and TCU's on the board.
Well, for the guy whose first love was baseball, Jeremy Curley certainly seems to have done a great job at football. Tremendous double move with the punt fake is what sets this up, and Andy Dalton puts the ball right on the money. Poor Shamil Gary played it great, had great coverage early on, but the double move and pump fake is what let TCU get into the end zone.
Ross Evans knocks through the PAT, and a great start for TCU. Season-long touchdown connection for Curley. 4th TD catch of the year. Blinding speed. Gary could do nothing.
College football on the CBS College Sports Network is brought to you by 2K Sports NBA 2K11. Become the greatest. In stores now. Rated E for everyone. By Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here. And by Warner Brothers Pictures. Hereafter. In theaters everywhere October 22nd.
Beautiful TCU campus here in Fort Worth. This city, the 19th largest in the United States, and TCU has a great start in this game. 4 times on the opening possession, including, Gary Patterson told us yesterday, the best game they played all year. 45-10 win here over Baylor a few weeks back. Well, they scored their first 5 times.
Yeah, they pumped the brakes a little bit on that second half, too. They could have probably dropped 60 on them.
Ghali Muhammad takes a knee 3 yards deep in the end zone on the kickoff there from Sharpers.
Well, let's take a look at that last touchdown. This is the same backfield action that Andy Dalton got the first down on, but there's a tremendous double move right there on the bottom left of your screen that Curley does, being able to set that play up. But this is what TCU's offense does. They do a great job of running the football. Shamil Gary bites on the move. Andy Dalton pump fakes, and Curley catches a beautiful ball into the end zone. That is TCU's offense at its finest.
You know, Jason Sehorn and I on the CBS College Sports Network call the Army home games, and we've talked a lot. He's a former D-back about defending the double move, and he said it's really tough to do. Got to watch the receiver's eyes at all times. Where is he looking? Screen pass, Alexander takes it in. Nifty little play by Alvester Alexander, a sophomore out of Houston. Tanner Brock escorted him out of bounds in front of the Wyoming bench.
Yeah, it was a missed tackle on that play by Takaren Kuba. But so far, Dax Crum, high percentage passes, running the football. I like the play calling so far for this Wyoming offense, putting their quarterback in a position to be successful.
Kuba starting for Alex Ibiloye. Star weak safety, knee injury, still bothered by that. Coach Patterson not expecting to play Ibiloye today. McNeil on a screen. Colin Jones says no. Puts him down for a big loss of 7. Great play defensively by TCU.
Great job by Colin Jones coming up. They brought Tank Carter off the outside edge here, blitzing, and David Leonard misses his block, and Colin Jones comes up and just reads it right away and does a tremendous job of being able to get there. There's Colin Jones there, looking at the quarterback the whole way, reads it. That's great heads up. That means Colin Jones has been in the film room watching what this offense does, and that's why he's always around the football.
Jones, Aaron, had 3.5 tackles for loss last week in Fort Collins against Colorado State. In one game. Pretty good for a safety. Third down. Crum is throwing. Alexander receiving. Jones is right there and puts him down along with Greg McCoy, the cornerback of TCU. Punting situation here for Wyoming.
Well, that's what this TCU defense does. Dax Crum so far in this ball game doing a pretty good job distributing the football, but Gary Patterson, this defense, 3rd in the country for a reason.
Here's Austin McCoy, junior out of the Orlando, Florida area. Now the Mountain West Conference Special Teams Player of the Week this week. Got to punt it to Curley. That's the problem. Flags are down. Little rugby style end over end kick to limit Jeremy Curley's touches here. There is a marker on the field. And it's a 38-yard kick. If it stands, we'll get the call here. Gary Patterson says Jeremy Curley is the best he has ever coached. Returning punts and kicks. Just has things you cannot teach anyone in terms of the shake and bake.
Yeah, we were watching film yesterday, and Coach Patterson came over and looked at Curley.
Illegal
said
kicking team. Penalty will be enforced at the previous spot. 5 yards, replay 4th down.
See, Dave Christensen has the RN for Ruben Narcisse on his visor. All the helmets are honoring Ruben with a sticker as well. And a linebacker will wear number 12 without Ruben's name on the back for the rest of the season. His locker remains untouched in Laramie. And throughout what would have been his 4 years at the University of Wyoming, there will be someone with the number 12. Be a designated player before the year starts, a linebacker who represents what Ruben did. McCoy tries again. No rugby-style punt this time. It's a boomer. And Curley at the 30. Some moves we told you about. Got the speed. Looks for the outside and eventually is shoved out of bounds. Fort Worth. Site of TCU. 7-0 game.
In front of, X amount of people, and, there's emotion in the air and everything that's going on. And, that's why it's such a great game.
Competition and the thrill of victory.
Dave Christensen said it was this week his team will have to play a near perfect game to win at TCU, but his Cowboys are getting better each week with at least 6 wins and another bowl game appearance. This is his first head coaching job. Was the offensive coordinator before taking the job at Wyoming at Missouri. Wesley shakes a tackle. Gibson with a second chance at it finally puts him down along with Ghali Muhammad. What a play there by Wesley. And we watched him, Aaron, you and I have filmed this week. He is difficult to corral sometimes and put down on the field.
Yes, he is. He's averaging 100 yards per game for good reason. He makes people miss. Ghali Muhammad had a straight shot on him in the hole that last time, and one of the attributes that Wesley has is tremendous in-hole quickness and being able to accelerate and burst past players. And these guys stay fresh. When you have a teammate like Matthew Tucker and Wayman James, Andre Dean, former high school teammate Andy Dalton's in the backfield, is helpful.
Wesley again. Crashes up the middle and gets himself to the 36-yard line. Last week, big game offensively on the ground for TCU. We'll tell you about after. Coming up at halftime, watch a special sneak preview of Warner Brothers Pictures Hereafter in theaters everywhere, October 22nd. I'm a huge Matt Damon fan, Aaron.
Man,
that looks like a very good movie.
Got a little man crush, huh?
He's awesome.
Halloween's coming up, Dave.
346 yards last week. Season best rushing TCU. Dalton passing this time. Brings it in. Kevin Frosch. Make that Logan Brock. Logan Brock, the tight end with a catch. From Copperas Cove, central part of the state between Waco and Austin. One of several Copperas Cove high school alums in this game.
Again, this is just play action, and this is a very rare completion to the tight end. That's only the 5th completion thrown to a tight end so far this year. And certainly, Logan Brock's got to feel pretty good against that.
First down's all TCU. Logan, the older brother of Tanner Brock, star linebacker here at TCU. So Dalton throwing. Tucker brings it in. Takes one tackle, got by Deshaun Gibson. Ryan Hendricks finally slammed him down. Close to the 19 and close to another TCU first down.
One of the things that makes Andy Dalton so good is his anticipation. He throws this ball almost before Matthew Tucker turns around. That's experience, and that's being able to read defenses, and just yet another reason why Andy Dalton is such a good quarterback. He is poised back there.
Today's Red Zone brought to you by Verizon. Was a first down for the Horned Frogs, driving again. First touchdown, 50 yards. Dalton to Curley on a play-action pass. Dalton Keeps puts the head down, and Ghali Muhammad hits him hard, in addition to Mike Purcell, sophomore from just outside of Denver, Colorado.
TCU does such a good job down here in the red zone. I mean, you take a look at the possessions and what they've been able to do. I mean, they don't get down here inside the 20 very much and kick a field goal. That's why you score so many points and are top 10 in scoring in the country, and that's why you win so many ball games. Not only does TCU get their opportunities, but when they do, they make the most of it.
How about that? Cash it in, huh? Gary Patterson said after the 6-0 lead at Colorado State last week at the half, we need to score more touchdowns. Pass. Shivers. The big fullback brings it in. Gavin Harris makes the tackle on Luke Shivers. Gain of 10. It'll be 1st and goal for TCU. Shivers is Mr. Touchdown. He basically gets the ball in his hands, and he scores 11 career touches, and before that catch, 6 touchdowns. That's unbelievable.
They call him Mr. Touchdown for good reason. Talking with offensive coordinator Justin Fuente yesterday, and he said, yeah, why aren't we getting him the ball more?
1st and goal. Touchdown! Antoine Hicks gets the run, gets 6 for TCU.
Old Antoine Hicks is a former high school quarterback and shows his ability to be able to run the football, but again, that blocking up front on the power inside in that red zone is tremendous by the Horned Frogs, and Hicks is able just to be able to walk in. TCU is so powerful on the ground.
So a wide receiver plays running back. The former quarterback in high school, Antoine Hicks Jr. from Arlington in the Dallas Metroplex area. Touchdown run. TCU in business early. 14-0 lead for TCU. Gary Patterson, head coach. Big theme this year, make it happen. And it is happening for the Horned Frogs and their fans. Time now for the Carfax Fast Fact. TCU football, 1896 AT. They've had a long time. Almost right away, school was actually known as a different name and was based in Waco in the 1800s. But the Horned Frog was the first mascot chosen. And they have been dominant in every conference.
Well, it's a pretty good mascot considering that when the Horned Frog is angry, it shoots blood out of its eyes. Adran
University was the original name of the school in the 1800s, located in Waco. How's that?
First win was over Kobe's Business College.
Jarples kicking. Ghali Muhammad wisely. Midway point of the end zone. Takes it in for a touchback. Wyoming gets it back when we return to Cowtown, USA. Everyone's happy here in Fort Worth, 14-0, 5th-ranked TCU. And some happy fans. A 2-touchdown lead on Wyoming. Mountain West Conference play here. Cowboys on an enviable task of trying to play the 3rd top 5-ranked team in the first 6 weeks of the year. Texas, remember, was 2 when they played them and lost that game on the road in Austin. That's incredible. No one else has done that in the country. Haran brings it in. And sent down hard by Tanner Brock, team's leader in tacklers, has 3 hits in the game today.
Wyoming went to its empty set there. No running backs in the backfield, 5 wide receivers. That's a true spread look that Dave Christensen's so famous for. Over the last couple weeks, they've gotten away from that a little bit, going to more power football, closing their splits down, running the football, using the fullback, using the H-back. And now with the new quarterback, they're probably going to spread it out a little bit and try and take some shots.
Dax Crum starting for Austin. Carter Samuels out. Here's Haran from the backfield. Spins ahead across the 30-yard line. And Wyoming moves the chain. So let's talk a bit more about the schedule here. I mean, murderer's row, Aaron, wouldn't even describe it. Now, that Air Force game, they were leading going into the 4th quarter. Tough game and a tough loss for them in Laramie.
Yeah, unfortunately, David Leonard had the ball popped out, and Air Force was able to recover and run the football out. But, man, 3 top 5 opponents and have to play host to Utah coming down the pipe? Man, talk about a confidence killer.
Dave Christensen told us this week he knew going in the schedule is going to be tough. Haran again. Tries the left side, little counter give. TJ Johnson. And to Karen Cuba, involved in the tackle defensively there for TCU. Interesting point that Dave Christensen, Aaron, made with us this week. He said, look, I've got a lot of guys who are redshirting this year. I'm not going to burn the red shirts just to mortgage the future. I'm going to save them regardless of what the record is. Of course, they want to make a bowl game, but he's thinking down the road too.
Yeah, and that's one of the fine lines you have to walk as a head coach, is to make those decisions. Do you play for now, for this year, and this group of seniors that you have, or do you start to build and get some quality depth so that you can have the success that you want coming down the line?
On second down, Crump, pocket, collapses, down he goes. Daniels from behind, another sack. Loss of 4. Give him 5.5 sacks this year.
Wayne Daniels does such a nice job of setting his sacks up. Coming from the two-point stance, reads the cut, tremendous athleticism. Clayton Curvin, the left tackle, tried to be able to cut him. It was supposed to be a 3-step drop, but credit that as a coverage sack. The ball should have been gone. Wayne Daniels hustled to the football and got his 5.5 for the year.
Their defense is outstanding, ranked 3rd overall in the nation, 238 yards, surrendered a game. Boise State, is number 1 at 223 a game coming into this week's action. On third down, Crum, some pressure, incomplete at midfield. McCoy the closest to that ball, and he plays for TCU. Back down to Kaylee.
Dave, the Wyoming team has only 67 scholarship players. That's 18 short of the 85 allowed, and only 3 more than what's allowed for the football championship subdivision schools, formerly Division I AA schools. Dave, as you said, this is a young team with a lot of red shirts, and Christensen says he won't burn them before they're ready. He's not going to leverage their future. Since the end of last season, at least 10 players have left, but that's not uncommon in a coach's second year. Let's go to the field.
Look out, Gibson. The up back on a fake, and it doesn't work. Well, they had the double pass, the fake punt last week that went for a first down, but no such luck this time. As Sean Gibson got the direct snap and got nailed on the play by Malcolm Williams.
Well, this is something that Wyoming went back to the well on. They ran it last week, but you see, you got to be able to play assignment-friendly defense. And again, another missed block and just a tremendous play out in the outside by Williams to be able to read that. Against a team as good as TCU, you're going to have to be able to take those chances. But again, Dave, I can't stress you, trick plays still need to be executed.
Last week was Austin McCoy throwing to Deshaun's brother, Marcel Gibson, for a first down at Toledo. Wesley carries, gets himself to the 31-yard line. Josh Bazoons, defensive end, puts him down for Wyoming. Just outside Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota.
Yeah, and he's a former linebacker, just under 250 pounds, and he's playing against a guy that's 6'6", 316, and Zach Roth, the right tackle. There's quite a big mismatch at the end position against this defensive line of Wyoming and BYU's big physical offensive line.
And on the first quarter. And so far, as expected, 5th-ranked TCU thinking about a BCS bowl game, thinking about the first-ever national championship game in school history. Looking good. Curley from Dalton. And then Hicks, a touchdown run as well. 14-zip after 1. Who is that man in the middle of the TCU cheerleaders, Aaron? None other than Bob Schieffer, CBS News legend and a very proud TCU alum. He's got the fingers going. He is ready. Kaylee will visit with Bob Schieffer in a few moments on the sideline. Look forward to that interview. Had a chance to have dinner with Bob last night. Great local Tex-Mex place, and that was fun. Heard some incredible stories. Dalton fires, end zone, Johnson! Touchdown! 31 yards to Bart Johnson.
This is just a tremendous double move again by Bart Johnson right there. Fakes like he's going to do the slant inside, ends up turning into a skinny post. And again, Shamil Gary biting on the first move for the second time this game and giving up another touchdown.
You know Bob Schieffer was pumped about that. Bart Johnson stays out to hold here for Evans. He'll try the PAT. 28 straight games now. Johnson has at least one catch for TCU, and this one a touchdown. His second team grab of the season. Is he pumped? You better believe it. Number 6 scores for number 5 TCU. Bart Johnson took a huge hit from Ricky Brewer of Colorado State last week. Dislodged the ball early, but still came back to get at least that one catch to keep the streak going. Now 28 straight and a big TD grab there. On another strike from Andy Dalton. And if Andy was not sharp against the Rams last week, Aaron, he is sharp today.
Yeah, it looked
Clearly.
like he was pressing a little bit last week, but you just got to be able to play within yourself. Andy Dalton's a consummate pro, settling down and looking very good early in this ballgame.
Sharples kicks off. Muhammad on a bounce at the 10. Golly, Muhammad tripped up. Let's go back down to Kaylee, joined by Bob Schieffer.
I'm here with Bob Schieffer, legendary CBS newsman and a Horned Frog himself. Bob, the journalism school here bears your name. I know it's something very close to your heart.
It is, and we've got some really good news. Kaylee, we're putting the finishing touches on a $5 million facility. We're trying to make this the best journalism school in the country. We're not there yet, but we're getting mighty close. And the best thing we've got are our students. The first Fulbright scholar at TCU came from the Schieffer School of Journalism. Miss Texas, the current Miss Texas, is from the Schieffer School of Journalism. And wide receiver Curtis Clay, top student on the TCU football team, he's a Schieffer Schooler, so we're really proud of these guys.
Now, the Schieffer School isn't the only thing getting a facelift around here. Amon Carter Stadium is.
First charge
It sure
timeout.
is, and I had something to do. I actually worked on putting this upper deck
30
on this
seconds.
stadium.
Charge
I was in the Carpenters Union when I was in high school. The union sent me out here, and they sent me up there at the level that thing is to work on it. I was so scared I wouldn't even come down for lunch. I came down at the end of the day and said, "You got any work on the ground?" The foreman said no, and I said, "I believe I'll let you all build it without me." I put up my tools and went to work in a lumber yard. That was the end of my carpenter career, and I want to tell you, it still scares me to go up there, Kaylee.
Now, Bob, I know you and Coach Patterson are good friends, share a love of country music and a love for TCU football.
He is one fine football coach, Kaylee, but I tell you, the thing about Gary, he's teaching these guys how to do a lot of stuff besides play football. He's teaching them the way you play football. He has great respect for this game. We're really lucky to have him, and you're right, he is also a very good country music singer.
Thank you, Bob. Back to the field.
Kaylee, Bob, thank you so much. Great to spend so much time with Bob Schieffer. Dextrum is keeping. Hit there by Karen Cuba of TCU. CBS News legend, 6 Emmy Awards, Bob Schieffer, the 2002 National Press Foundation Broadcaster of the Year. And as he said, an incredible honor to have the Schieffer School of Journalism named after him. He's written 3 books as well about his career in journalism. We are told 7 Emmys.
And just
What
as
a
simple
career.
of a down-earth guy as you can be.
Lester Alexander carries there for Wyoming. It will be a first down for the Cowboys. And we heard some great stories from Bob last night about his career, some of the things he experienced. And he said moderating presidential debates, probably the highlight. And he's seen and done pretty much everything in politics over the last 3 decades.
Oh, man, there's nothing this guy hasn't done. We talked about that on the way over here in the car today. Like, who hasn't this guy interviewed? To play such a role on the national scale and on the world scale. I mean, the people that he is interviewing are the leaders of the free world, and it's just a tremendous role. Just as down-to-earth of a person as you can met. Dinner last night was tremendous.
Cuba again on Alexander again. Hard hit at the 41-yard line.
So I was pretty flattered when he was asking for our autographs after dinner day.
Kidding. He's kidding. CBS News legend since the 1969 covering of the Vietnam War. 23 years. As the anchor of Saturday Evening News, Sunday Evening News between 73 and 97. Chief Washington correspondent since 1982. Host of Face the Nation since 91. What a career.
Dead ball. Legal substitution. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Cowboys backed up 5 yards here.
Again, Wyoming being on the road is uncharacteristically shooting themselves in the foot. That's their 3rd penalty so far today, and coming into this game, as you can see, only averaging 4. That's their 4th, actually. So they've met their full game average, and That's not the way that you're going to be able to beat a team on the road as good as TCU. Wyoming literally needs to be perfect to be able to play today, bringing up a 2nd and long.
Studnicka, big fullback in motion. Haran gets the carry, and he runs into a wall of purple at the 39-yard line. The 2 linebackers in the 4-2-5 defensive set for TCU, Tanner Brock and Tank Carter. Tank's real name is Ricky, his given name, although rarely anyone calls him Ricky. He was called Tank as a little baby because he was quite stocky, sturdy, and hey, he was a big baby.
Hey, who wasn't a big baby? Tank Carter's just a tremendous football player, leads the team in tackles, just likes to smack it up in there, kind of an ex-gamer. But this is a big 3rd down for this Wyoming offense.
Dax Crum, shotgun, throws incomplete. Haran, the intended receiver, to Karen Cuba on coverage again for TCU. He's had a great first half defensively for the Horned Frogs, and punt time for the Cowboys.
Well, what set this up is the penalty. I mean, you bring up a 2nd and 10 on the play before this, you're completely limited in your play calls, and you become predictable to the defense. So when you end up with a 3rd and long situation like we saw in that last play, this TCU defense just licks its chops because you're very limited in your options offensively.
Rugby punt on the delay, trying to give his coverage team a shot against Curley. Shakes 1 tackle, cut back and leaps tacklers, soaring across the 35, all the way to the 38-yard line. Return of 22 for the electrifying Jeremy Curley. Andy Dalton, the quarterback, says he's the most athletic player he's ever been around. He can do everything, and clearly the QB is right. Against Baylor a couple weeks back, star quarterback Andy Dalton of TCU, 21 of 25, a Mountain West Conference record, 91% completion, and he's doing it all today here, Aaron Taylor.
Yeah, that was a big 3rd down conversion there, and then you see the arm strength and his accuracy, putting the ball right on the money to Jeremy Curley, then the double pump, hitting Bart Johnson in the end zone. Andy Dalton really seems to have found his rhythm, and look at those numbers so far today in the first half. He's been tremendous.
That is the icy hot quarterback hot zone. Andy Dalton is red hot for the Horned Frogs, and they're back on the field offensively, up by 3 scores. Pistol look. Wesley put down right away. Hit there by Mark Burkness, a sophomore from Littleton, Colorado, came in with 5 tackles on the season.
Great job by Burkness there, backup defensive end. When you watch this Wyoming team on tape, they really surprise you with how physical and aggressive they are. They really handled that Texas offensive line up front very, very well and held their own for a little bit against Boise, so it's no surprise to see guys like Burkness making plays there, but they're going to need some more.
Passing here. There's that again. Deep downfield. Sky Dawson has a catch along the sideline. 44 more TCU yards.
Well, Sky Dawson's a former track guy. He's really fast, but he hasn't been able to necessarily turn that into production on the field. But making plays like this is exactly how you do that. Coach Patterson was talking about Sky Dawson and really liked the intangibles and the raw attributes that this young man had. But that's a great way to be able to look over your shoulder and focus and concentrate and catch that football.
We will have an official review on that. It was close with Dawson's foot, whether or not he had possession and had the foot in bounds. Our first review of the day.
Taking a look at his feet. He's got possession there. A little blurry and hard to see from that angle, but it appeared that his right foot was in bounds. Right there, his foot appears to be inside the line. The officials judge that he has possession, which clearly it looks like he has. Freeze it right there.
Do you see daylight, though, between the foot and the sideline is a question. If he touches that side, it is close.
From that angle, it looks close, but you can saw from the other angle a couple plays before there is daylight there.
That's what it's all about. Here it is. Good look.
There we
Yep.
go.
See
Perfect.
some green. And it should be a good catch for Dawson, who you mentioned his speed. 10.29 in the 100. Star on the TCU track team. He won the Mountain West Conference 60-meter dash at 6.69. And Gary Patterson said it was this week he needs more from his outside receivers, creating some plays to open up the run game inside, and that's how you do it if you're Sky Dawson.
That's exactly how you do it. He had one catch last week, and that's his 8th on the year. And sometimes when players are new to football, you need to be able to have some things that get you some confidence and see that smile on his face. He's got to feel pretty good about himself, and he should, because that was just tremendous concentration and speed on that play to come up with a big, big reception.
Sophomore from Mesquite, Texas, not far from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. At 6.69, we told you about, 3rd fastest all-time in conference history in the 60s. So he can fly. I mean, that is serious speed.
Yeah, Coach Patterson's right, Dave. I mean, speed doesn't necessarily translate into production on the football field, nor strength. I mean, you don't see a lot of bodybuilders being able to play the game of football, or a lot of track guys being able to make that transition right away. But I think it's a testament to this young man's athletic ability that he's been able to make that transition and become a playmaker for this football team.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands.
As we expected it would. Bottom line, got to get it right, and the officials did. So the big pickup stands for Sky Dawson and the TCU offense, and they are rolling. Wyoming has no answers defensively. If you're Marty English, defensive coordinator of Wyoming, what are you thinking right now?
Well, you're thinking you wish you had players that were a lot faster, because that's been the glaring difference between this Wyoming defense and this TCU offense is the speed. TCU has bulk up front, athletic ability in the backfield, and is tremendously fast on the outside.
Wesley shakes a tackle, Ed Wesley throws in the end zone, touchdown! What a run by Ed Wesley of TCU! 18 powerful yards! There is a flag. It's in the end zone.
After the score, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 34 of the offense, score the touchdown. Penalty will be enforced on the kickoff.
That is Ed Wesley, a little too happy on the celebration next year, and that hurts because the TD would not count.
Yeah, that would have been a big play, and that was just poor tackling on the Wyoming defense there. Just a tremendous run by Wesley to be able to find the end zone. That's the consummate example of the mismatch between TCU and so many teams. Today it's Wyoming, but they're so physical and powerful up front. Yet the play before, we saw how much speed they have on the outside edge.
Evans has a PAT. Oliver Schober, a junior from Munich, Germany, spun Wesley. He thought down to the ground, but it was actually onto his stomach. And Wesley just kept on moving into the end zone for 6. The style point discussion will come up very shortly here. 28-0, TCU 5th ranked, hammering Wyoming in Mountain West Conference action. How about games going on in the AP Top 10? This poll brought to you by Ram Trucks. The update right now, Aaron, in Columbia, South Carolina. 21-3, South Carolina leading top-ranked Alabama. Number 1 Crimson Tide might go down today.
Well, you got to remember, Alabama a couple times this year has been down. If there is a team that can go in at halftime and come back out and find a way to score, it's them. But when you look at that top 5 there, all of those teams are possibly national champions and very deserving teams, but they're not without their chinks in their armor. And I think we're seeing kind of the weight of Alabama's schedule in South Carolina coming off a bye, rearing its ugly head for them. It's going to be really tough. History's proven it's really tough for teams to repeat in the national championship.
Sharples here, Aaron, backed up to the 15. Remember the penalty on Wesley for unsportsmanlike after the touchdown run, which did count. So he's got a kick from way back at the 15-yard line.
Wyoming needs good field position here.
Ghali Muhammad trying to ensure just that. Pushes the pile forward to the 49 or so of the Cowboys. That's where they take over 1st and 10. And they'll have some very good field position to try to create some sort of positive Energy for head coach Dave Christensen in year 2. The coach signed a new contract extension before the season, Aaron, through 2014. He has become a very popular coach in just 1 year in Laramie.
And rightfully so. He's done a tremendous job taking his team not only to a bowl game, but getting that win last year.
What a game that was. Back from the offense back in the field. It's Mr. Alexander. Stuck right away. Hit there by TJ Johnson. Be sure to check out NBA 2K11 from 2K Sports, rated E for everyone.
Now, Dave, I understand that you have Dax Crum, your backup quarterback, in there, and you're on the road against TCU down 28-0 in the first half, but you have to be able to take some shots and maybe go vertical and try and get somebody slipping or making a mistake or penalty, get something generated offensively where you're stretching the football field.
You're right. Something's got to happen here. Dax Crum. Throw in there. Brought in. McNeil has the catch inside the 40 of TCU to the 39. That is a first down for Chris McNeil, sophomore from Southern California.
Chris McNeil, the coaches believes their best route runner. Not necessarily a 4-4 guy, but when you run crisp routes, you get yourself open with discipline, and makes it really easy for a quarterback who's making his first start in quite some time to be able to find you.
Since September of 2008 against Bowling Green. That was a big loss for the Pokes. Alexander on the carry. Slung down there by TJ Johnson. Gain of 7. Got to be tough for Dax Crum, who was a transfer from Arizona State. His dad was a great player at the University of Arizona and then with the St. Louis Cardinals in the NFL. He's a defensive end. Hasn't started since early in 2008. Didn't play a snap last year as a third-string quarterback when Austin Carter-Samuels took over and became the conference freshman of the year.
Well, he's looked so pretty good so far today, 11 for 17, and protecting the football. Again, we talked about him managing the game, kind of being able to distribute and rely on the players around him, and thus far he's been very efficient.
Haran gets the carry. Tank Carter finds him almost right away and puts him down, and there is a flag down. Crum was 2-3 as a starter back in 2008. That team started 2-1 for Dax and then lost 5 straight and 7 of 9 to finish 4 and 8. That was the last season Joe Glenn was the head coach at Wyoming before the Christensen era started in 2009.
There's no question Dave Christensen knows how to win. It's
there
just
is
a matter
no
of
foul
time.
for an illegal shift. The action was legal. Third down.
No penalty. Now the coach has kept a lid, and I mean a tight lid, on what happened to Austin Carter-Samuels. How do you feel about that? Coach is not publicizing injuries.
Well, I think in today's climate where you can have some liability in certain things, you don't want to be able to tip off. Any advantage that you can have over the other team, I think, is something that you need to use. And when you're a team like Wyoming, you almost have to take what you can get.
McNeil on the screen, shut down. TJ Johnson was there right away. Read it and made the stop.
TJ Johnson, we talked about him being a difference maker at the top of the game. He's so available and being able to recognize what it is he needs to be able to do. He recognizes it, comes up right away, finds a football up there on the top by the numbers, just makes a great open field tackle. One of the things that TCU does so well is tackle in the open field.
Speaking of not revealing his hand, Dave Christensen is going to leave all units on the bench for a moment. We're on 4th and 8.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
Takes a 5-yard penalty, and now I imagine sends out the punt unit to give his punter Austin McCoy, the junior.
They'll decline the delay of game.
Out of Orlando. But it stays right where it is. No 5-yard penalty against Wyoming.
They run the spread offense and the spread special forces, special teams.
Different look, right? Has not bothered TCU much in this game. Good effort. Once that ball reaches the plane of the goal line, it is a touchback in college football. TCU in the offense back on the field when we return to Fort Worth.
Here in the New York studios. Dave, you talked about this a minute ago. Steven Garcia, 15 yards to Alshon Jeffrey. That's what puts the Gamecocks up 21-3, Bama's largest deficit in the past 2 seasons. Dave.
Oh, Molly, how about that? 15th meeting all time, and Bama leads that series 11-3 over South Carolina. But Aaron, the old ball coach, Steve Spurrier, 0-2 as South Carolina coach against Alabama. Crimson Tide and Nick Saban have won 29 in a row in the regular season. A shakeup, potentially Aaron Taylor in the top 5.
Yeah, there's no question. South Carolina's got to be able to hold on the football. Turnovers have been the things that shot themselves in the foot. But Alabama is, so far this year, starting out slow, unlike this TCU offense.
Andy Dalton and company been red hot. James will not get the carry. Penalty flag first.
Prior to the snap, full start, offense, number 83, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Keep in mind that Ohio State, ranked number 2, has won already today. 38-10 over Indiana in the Big Ten. So if Alabama loses, the Buckeyes and Terrell Pryor should be moving on up. TCU and Garrett Patterson could be moving on up. Boise State plays Toledo tonight. That should be a one-sided game in favor of Boise State. Catch made, Tucker in the backfield. Krasinski puts him down after a huge gain. 30 more yards for TCU.
Well, one of the things that TCU likes to do is walk out their running backs out to the wide receiver. That's just a busted coverage. The cornerback comes off and leaves Tucker wide open. They're trying to double down and tackle well, and so far TCU's been able to expose. That's what you can't do again, this defense of Wyoming. Busted assignments, mistakes, biting on double moves. They're making it easy on the Horned Frogs.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, number 78, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
So right guard Josh Vernon, senior from here in the Dallas Metroplex. Busy day in the Dallas area. The Texas Rangers in Game 3 are playing not far from here. Trying to wrap up their series with the Rays and advance on to the ALCS. The Giants won a great game last night, Major League playoff action. Or lost that game to the Braves, rather, in extra innings. Very exciting. Ricky Ankiel had a late home run. Lots of college football as well in the Dallas area. Tucker carries there. Short gain for TCU. Neil Gary makes a tackle. So, Aaron, let's check it out here. What's going on in the Metroplex area? Baylor, Texas Tech was a shootout won by Texas Tech. Arkansas A&M playing. SMU is home, and so is North Texas.
There's a lot going on here, but the state fair is still going on, and I think the most exciting thing for me that's going on in the Metroplex is those fried Twinkies.
I was just going to say, what is your favorite state fair food? I knew there had to be something good.
You could fry anything and I would eat it.
Fried Twinkies are so delicious. Second down. Dalton, lots of time. Over the middle. James brings it in. Covered by Hendricks, but not very well. Big pickup again. 36 more yards for the Horned Frogs.
TCU doing a good job of isolating the speed at their running backs on the linebackers of Wyoming, and they just can't. It's just a mismatch every single time. Brian Hendricks does a good job of recognizing it, but the speed of James is able to get out.
Uh-oh. Here comes the direct snap. With a wildcat look. Curley lost his footing. Turf monster got him, or the grass monster. Natural surface here at TCU. To the 16-yard line. Sometimes he's too quick for his own good. With a shake and bake, he put himself down there.
He's so fast, he tackled himself here. Sky Dawson coming across on the sky fly sweep look, but the middle of that defense just opened up, and Wyoming's really having trouble adjusting. They're making the Pokes defend the entire length of the field, or every inch of it anyway, and they really seem to be off balance, and TCU going to the hurry up here.
Flags fly. James, the ball carrier there for TCU.
Possibly a hold on number 88, Jimmy Young.
Holding, offense, number 88, 10-yard penalty, replay, second down.
Got that right, partner. Seen it from Monroe, Louisiana. Had a TD catch against Colorado State last week.
Right there with the right hand on the outside. Edge is going to get it every single time. Marqueston Huff, who they call Quest, does a good job of getting upfield and turning his shoulders, and Jimmy Young, who's such a good player for him, just gets himself out of position. But hey, you're not holding, you're not trying.
That's right. For Gary Patterson, Jimmy Young, first active on the TCU roster, 121 career catches, almost 2,000 yards, but not as big a threat as he's been in years past. Offense has changed a lot. Pass over the middle of Johnson. He'd love a flag for the back judge. He will not get it. It's incomplete. Gary on coverage for Wyoming.
Great job by Shamil Gary on that, recognizing it right away. He's coming across on the slant, comes down from that strong safety position, and he's there for the pass breakup. This kid was a stud. In his first ever game for Wyoming against Weber State.
Weber State,
excuse me, he had 3 interceptions.
How about that? That's the way to start a career, right?
Exactly.
3 picks. Trouble to handle. Late handoff Wesley. Makes 2 tacklers miss. He's special. Patrick Mertens finally wrestles him down to the ground. Let's go! 4 minutes to go in the first half.
I think Wyoming here has to just kind of settle down and maybe take away one facet of this TCU offense. They've been able to, again, consummate TCU football. Run the football first, pound them on the ground, make you defend every inch of the field, and then on the high percentage downs on first down, take your shots with play action. Blocked kick here. Turnover of some sort. Something for this Wyoming team to have some confidence.
First charge, timeout, TCU.
Shift this momentum a little bit.
Charge, timeout.
Timeout. TCU up by 4 scores and driving again here in Fort Worth, Texas.
Hi there, Molly Karam here in New York. Coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, we'll have highlights of Alabama's struggles in South Carolina. Terrell Pryor thrown for 300 yards for the first time in his career in the only matchup between unbeaten Michigan State at Michigan. Dave.
Molly, thanks. We look forward to the Verizon Halftime Report. Here, Ross Evans in Fort Worth, going to try a field goal here from 37 yards out. He's only tried 3 this year and made them all. Long of 43 so far for Evans this season. He's got it. And how about the offensive efficiency for TCU? Every time they've had the ball, they've scored points. TCU head coach Gary Patterson told us yesterday, it's maybe the best offense I've coached in my now 10 years here. See why? Mazi Agbona. Upended. Flipped and sent down on special teams. Greg Burks with a tackle for TCU. How about that?
You always got to be careful leaving your feet. Those guys are coming downfield. Take a look at this. Listen. Crowd got a kick out of that too.
This has not been fun at all for Wyoming. Crum stays in and runs here off the fake Alexander. Colin Jones on the tackle defensively for TCU gets out to the 24. If you're wondering, Emory Miller is the backup, and he's a true freshman for Wyoming. So I really doubt Dave Christensen would play him to burn the red shirt for his entire season.
No question. With the game 31-0 going into halftime, you'd have to think that you want to get Dax Crum some experience. And I think for this team, they need to be able to get some sort of mojo or some sort of rhythm going on offense, which is so hard against a defense this good, but they're keeping the football on the ground, trying to rush against a defense that only allows 100 yards per game on the ground.
It's Alexander again. Chris Gardner, Jr., out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, has his first tackle of the day for TCU defensively. Under 2.5 to go in the first half. It has been all TCU, 5th ranked. Now the discussion here about style points, and we're going to hear from Gary Patterson at halftime about that. How many points does he have to win by to impress the pollsters? He told us yesterday, I don't believe in that whole style point thing.
And I don't believe and don't like that teams have to do it, but 50 seems to be the magic number. But last week, TCU and Boise combined to blank their opponents 86-0, and it wasn't good. They got jumped. So when you talk about style points, I don't know if there's anything that a non-automatic qualifier can do if the teams that come from the automatic qualifying conferences keep winning.
Coach Patterson told us yesterday, in his mind, style points mean someone who buys a fancy car to impress people, or I've got a bigger house than you do, or I'm better than you are because I make more money than you. It's not so much about what happens on the football field. He's into the sportsmanship part of it and claims he'll play his second and third string guys in this game. He's doing that already on defense.
Yeah, there's no question. And he also said it was the mark of an insecure team having to get the style points. Hey, we just got to play football and do what we do.
McCoy on the point. Early on the bounce. Weaves through traffic. Timeout on the field in Fort Worth, Texas. Andy Dalton. Now the offense back in the field. Wesley carries on first down. Hit there by Devin Harris, wearing the number 12 in honor of Ruben Narcisse. Talk about impressive. Overwhelming offense, Aaron, today for TCU.
Yeah, and a lot of that started obviously with the run, but it's been the passing game so far today for the Horned Frogs. It's been so impressive. 225 yards through the air, and a lot of that's been on big plays off the play action. So even the threat of the run has been very, very helpful as we see TCU lined up here in the pistol.
Going to be Wesley again. Cruises through traffic. Has a first down. Now let's not forget the defense here in the final moments of the half as well, Aaron. Shutout last week at Colorado State. First road shutout ever for Gary Patterson since he became head coach of the Horned Frogs. 93-plus minutes since they've allowed a point. Goes back to the SMU game.
They are tremendous on defense, and you got to remember, this is the #1 defense in the last 2 years and 3 out of the last 4. Gary Patterson knows how to coach defensive football, and they say you win championships with defense. Well, that man you're looking at right there is among the best in the country at doing that.
So a game and a half, no points. TCU's defense, tough. Only give up 12 points a game, 5th best in the nation coming in, and nothing surrendered through 30 minutes here. Dave Christensen, Wyoming's head coach, playing without starting quarterback Austin Carter-Samuels. He's back in Laramie, injured. The coach closed practices all week. He will not open practices to the media for the rest of the season. After the injury situation to his starting quarterback, he says Carter-Samuels will return next week. Wyoming plays Utah, currently 10th ranked, heading to their game with Iowa State tonight next week. Kaylee joined by Gary Patterson.
Coach Patterson, your offense has been perfect on every possession you've scored until the clock ran out. How has that happened?
Well, we played this way a couple weeks ago against Baylor, playing back at home. You know, we just, we know what our capabilities are, but you know what? Wyoming's not having as good a day as what they like to have, and we've done a good job on both sides of the ball. So, we got to come back the second half. We want to be the team we want to be and play the same way.
Coach, you're up by 31 points. Style points are a big deal to BCS. How many points do you have to score here to impress people?
Well, you just saw I just ran the clock out. So for us, it's about making it short and make sure people don't get hurt, make sure we win the ball game, and that's what we want to get done. But, our kids are playing well today.
Thanks, Coach. Back to you, Dave.
Kaylee, thanks. Coach Patterson is correct. His team playing very well. Stay tuned for the Verizon Halftime Report with Molly Karen, Brian Jones, and Randy Cross coming up after the break. Through one half of play, it is all 5th-ranked TCU today.
College football on the CBS College Sports Network is being brought to you by Macy's, by Carfax. Before you buy a used car, get a free Carfax report from your dealer. Just say, "Show me the Carfax." And by 5 Hour Energy. Hours of energy now, no 2:30 feeling later.
University Avenue here in Fort Worth, very busy on game day. This school founded in 1873, an enrollment of over 8,800. Slinging Sammy Baugh, Davey O'Brien, LaDainian Tomlinson, Jerry Hughes, famous alums players of this great program. Let's review the first half stats reeled in by Bass Pro Shops AT. What do you see here?
Well, the story of the first half is just how explosive this TCU team has been offensively and the inability of Wyoming to get anything going on either side of the football. 334 total yards for this TCU team. When you look at Wyoming, they haven't even converted a third down yet. So the defense for Wyoming's been giving up a lot of big plays, and TCU's had their will in their way, both throwing the football and running the football.
Andy Dalton was fantastic in the first half. In his home games this year, Aaron, 45 of 55, 82% completion rate for Andy Dalton. I mean, he has been incredible. They have outscored their opponents in the home games thus far this year. 138-17. I mean, the games aren't even close. Wyoming kicks off. Oliver Schober from Germany kicking. Curley. A yard deep in his end zone. Takes it out. Spin move. Still on his feet. So fun to watch. And across the 25 to the 27. Let's take a look at our Napa know-how QB pass chart.
Well, Andy Dalton just being able to distribute the football. You look at the top of that chart. Those are the big plays that we've been talking about. Underneath, middle routes, deep routes is where this young man has been tremendous today. And all of that is set up by that run game, which I would imagine we're going to see in this second half get cranking.
TCU knows that Ohio State has won, that Alabama is struggling. Oregon plays Washington State. Boise State plays Toledo. Chance for some pole position maneuvering, perhaps. Harris puts down Jeremy Curley. Deshaun Gibson also in on the stop. How many points will TCU score as they completely steamroll Wyoming's defense in the first half? Seemingly at will. Coach Patterson told Kaylee, got my reserves in there. Took some time off the clock at the end of the second quarter. He told us yesterday it's about sportsmanship for him too. Wesley carries. Marcel Gibson makes a tackle. Well, as we talked about, 4 of the first 6 games this year, a touchdown or a field goal for TCU on its first drive, adding up to those incredible numbers.
They've just been absolutely tremendous, and you look at what they've been able to do today. Andy Dalton has been stellar. The TCU ground game has brought up the rear very, very nicely, and that defense, that third-ranked defense, has been stifling.
Don't overlook the defense. It's Dalton. Lots of time. Brought in by Curley. And a first down. Now to the 39 of TCU. Keith Lewis on coverage defensively for Wyoming. Senior from the Chicago area. Went to Mount Carmel High School with Keith Lewis, alma mater of Donovan McNabb.
Good teams, and that's
Tell you. Today's first and 10 line being brought to you by Lexus.
This is a point in the ball game where your O-line starts to take over.
Speaking of which, Wesley carries. Gabe Napton, the junior from Meade, Colorado, makes the stop. We talked about Napton making his transition from linebacker to defensive end this year. Coaches tell us a great motor, never stops working hard, always trying to improve.
He's roommates with middle linebacker Brian Hendricks, and talking about these guys, I said, hey, what's your nickname for Gabe? He said, oh, call him Horse Nostrils. So we promised him we'd get it in. So there you go, Brian.
Passing. Brought in by Brock. Logan Brock, the big tight end, has 2 catches in the game. Gain of 14. The tight ends are busy here, Aaron.
I mean, this is the most work they've had all season long. These guys are going to be gassed, maybe need the week off, but this is just, again, off the play action and sprinting out, getting Andy Dalton in space. The young man seems to throw the football as well on the run as he does when he's sitting back there in the pocket, but you can't take away enough for the offensive line creating time, and Logan Brock had a big catch against Baylor, 29-yarders. Happy to get another one.
Remember, Dalton had that huge game against Baylor here a few weeks back, 21 of 25 passing. He's threatening those numbers today. Wesley, quick give. Brzezinski makes the tackle in the open field. Another nice gain, though, for TCU. They keep on trucking all the way down to the Wyoming 26.
Well, you want to talk about the pancake eaters. Watch this run lane on this running play. Just a great job. Backside, simple zone play. Backside guard and tackle doing a great job of securing the down lineman and working up to the second level. When you're able to run the football like that and have such powerful people up front, it's a reason that you're 7th in the country in rushing.
Tucker moves from the backfield, flanks out. Wesley carries. Ghali Muhammad brings him down from behind, not before Wesley drags tacklers to the 15. Another first down for TCU, and his big day continues. He is now very close to 100 yards.
That's the vision of
today's Red Zone being brought to you by Verizon.
The vision of Ed Wesley and his ability to be able to cut the football back. Those are just two simple zone plays back to back. As we see TCU here lined up in the pistol.
Shivers, the man in motion. Wesley carries, and Wesley upended. Inside the 5, Brzezinski came in and made a great tackle. But 11 more yards for Wesley now, over 100 for the game. And it'll be 1st and goal for the Horned Frogs.
That's just simple power football. Pull in your backside guard. Got some of the 2s and the backups in there doing a great job. Kyle Dooley coming around, creating some running room. And again, TCU so deadly down here in the red zone. This is where they like to pound it in and sometimes switch it up with some play action.
Antoine Hicks ran one in already early in the game. Wesley trying to finish this drive off is stood up and sent backwards.
Matt Berkenis on the stop there, and just a tremendous player from the backup role from Littleton, Colorado. Their motto this year for Wyoming's been bring the wood, and Berkenis is one of those guys that does that. He just kind of brings his lunch and shows up, and he's not afraid to get out there and make some plays. And I tell you what, for a team that's down 31-0, when you watch them play all the way through in all their games this year, this Wyoming team has not quit.
2nd down. Option look. Dalton pitching. Touchdown! Matthew Tucker. 5 yards out. 6 more for the Horned Frogs.
Well, when you're running the option, you have to be able to have somebody that has contained. Keep your eye here on the outside. Nobody there. Devin Harris gets sucked inside. Wide open. Andy Dalton be able to pitch the football to Matthew Tucker, who walks in untouched. You got to be disciplined playing the triple option. TCU runs it very well on that last play.
5th rushing TD of the season for Tucker, who passes the 1,000-yard career mark on that run. Special moment to get to 1,000 yards. Touchdown on the play. Wyoming coming from Laramie with star wide receiver David Leonard, who had 77 catches last year, but he and the Cowboys shut down and shut out so far by that guy, Andy Dalton. Great quarterback. Here at TCU will have his 35th career win as a starter. That's #1 active FBS. Kellen Moore goes for number 31. He's right behind him from Boise State. They played Toledo later tonight. Caraway, Agbona are deep to receive the kick. Kevin Sharples, the senior for TCU, will kick it off. Been a very special week for Andy Dalton. Here's the return. Flags flying.
during the return of the kick. Holding, return team number 29. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Was James Caraway on the return. So, Kaylee, very special time for Andy Dalton, and interesting the way everyone found out about it, right?
It is, absolutely. Andy Dalton has had some great luck on the field, but it might be due to some good news off the field. I'm here with his new fiance, Jordan Jones. Jordan, let me see the ring.
There it is.
And I hear Andy picked it out himself?
Yes, he did an awesome job. We kind of came to agreement, which, you know, came both of our styles, and we both really, really love this style, and so what we came up with. It's what he came up with, actually.
So tell me the story. How did you propose?
So Wednesday nights is always our date night, and so this Wednesday we went to the Riata and ate on the rooftop, and I did not think anything of it because it was his brother's birthday and my family was out of town. I thought they were out of town. And we ended up eating on the rooftop, and then he told me we were going to go through this trail that kind of ended up overlooking downtown Fort Worth. And we ended up, and he had flowers and candles, and we showed up, and I looked at him and was like, oh my gosh, is this really happening? And that's kind of where it happened.
So he's got a busy couple of months ahead. Have you talked about setting a date?
Yes, we have talked about everything that's going on between our lives and what's going to be best, and we think the end of the summer, next summer coming up, we think that's going to be best for both of us.
Thank you so much. Good luck to you. Congratulations. Back to you, Dave.
Kaylee, thanks, and congrats to Jordan Jones and to Andy Dalton. Flag is down. Cuban nearly had himself an interception. So how did Gary Patterson find out about it?
Offside. Defense, number 96, lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty, replay, second down.
Andy's Facebook page. Gary didn't know. I mean, his star quarterback didn't pull him aside at any point to tell him. But hey, that's how Gary found out through his wife about Wyoming's quarterback change on the internet, on those alerts that you get. Facebook changed the world, right?
That's certainly done a lot of things.
Alexander carries, and Colin Jones comes up, makes a tackle. Offensively for TCU inside the 20-yard line. Wyoming, no answers in this game.
You notice looking at this team, Dave, Wyoming's offense is predicated on the spread, but they're taking their time getting up to the line of scrimmage. They're running the football. I mean, this TCU defense, 108 straight minutes without allowing a point. You almost have to wonder if Wyoming wants to cut its losses and not get any more injuries. They're playing against a dang good defense here, and it's just been hard for them to get anything going offensively.
Dax Trump throws, it's incomplete. Try there for Zach Bulger, but a flag does fly. And we could have an interference call here to keep this Wyoming drive going.
Good coverage, maybe a little too good.
Pass interference, defense, number 18. Penalty enforced at the spot of the foul, automatic first down.
Travaris battle on the play here, getting a little aggressive inside on receiver there. Gary Patterson likes his guys to play aggressive, but not that aggressive. A lot of the twos here now on defense for this TCU ball club.
First down for the Cowboys. Alexander carries again. Met by Tank Carter to Karen Cuba. Tanner Brock. Short gain. Second down coming up. Wyoming in such a difficult spot. Carter Samuels, their starting quarterback, in Laramie, injured. Nature of the injury not disclosed, although Dave Christensen did tell us that he expects his star sophomore quarterback to play again next week. They take on 10th ranked Utah. Trump. Over the middle. Studnicka. Lost it at the end, but the play was down. Gets to the 40. Cuba put down Bryson Studnicka, the big fullback. Converted outside linebacker and defensive end.
Yeah, and he's a junior, and you take a look at the difference between these rosters. For so long, TCU was such a young team, but there's 20 seniors on there, 2 deep, to only Wyoming's 11. That's a big difference in the way these teams are. So Gary Patterson needs to be able to substitute in situations like this when his team's up to be able to get some experience to some guys that are going to be leaving next year, particularly on the offensive line, the defensive line at the quarterback position.
Haran hit right away. Randall Brock and Tank Carter. Two linebackers, the 4-2-5, make the play yet again defensively for TCU. So if you're Gary Patterson, how much longer do you play Andy Dalton in this game?
Not much more longer. I mean, he's had a tremendous day so far. Throwing for 250 yards through the air. His accuracy's been tremendous. You know, talking with him, this offense really's kind of struggled. They didn't practice well the last couple weeks. He said they had their best week of practice they've had in a while this week, and boy, that certainly showed up on the field.
Bona on the end of well, TCU all the time, 38-0 heading into the fourth quarter at Amon G. Carter Stadium. Named after the gentleman who lived between 1879 and 1955. Publisher and editor of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram newspaper and civic booster, a legend of Fort Worth, Texas. Big supporter of TCU athletics as well in his lifetime. James carries first play of the fourth quarter. Gets down to the 4. Big renovations coming here, Aaron Taylor, to Amon G. Carter Stadium. Fully completed in 2012. So where we stand right now will be gone after the last game of the year on the home schedule against San Diego State.
Old Amon G. Carter Stadium's 80 years old, so maybe it's time for a little Botox and facelift. Gary Patterson's certainly done a great job and deserves great facilities to help that recruiting.
Dalton rolls right, throws, end zone. Hicks, touchdown. Antoine Hicks, second TD of the day. 4 yards out.
Well, down here in the red zone, we're this tight to the goal line and the quarterback's running out. You have to be able to find holes in the defense, and Antoine Hicks does a great job of tiptoeing along the backside of the end zone to find the gap, and Andy Dalton puts the ball right on the money again. 13 of 16 on the day for young Andy Dalton.
3 touchdown passes to 3 receivers. Antoine Hicks, Jeremy Curley, Mark Johnson, all have TD catches today from Andy Dalton. Coming into play today, TCU one of 15 teams in the top 25. AP poll undefeated. And they'll stay that way and move to 6-0. BYU next for them. Then you and I, Aaron, return in 2 weeks to broadcast TCU Air Force. That's shaping up to be a great game. Air Force beat Colorado State handily today in Mountain West Conference action.
Yeah, maybe one of the fastest football games in the history of college football with the way both of these teams run the football so well. But Troy Calhoun is one of the country's finest and best coaches. Does a tremendous job with the Falcons, and I can't wait to see them line up and play against what's shaping up to be a tremendous 5th-ranked TCU Horned Frog team.
Top rushing offense in the country, Air Force. Oregon's got the best overall offense, 569 a game. And the Ducks are losing early to Washington State. Pac-10 play. Caraway returns inside his 5. Breaks a tackle, stumbles out, nearly had an open lane for a big return for Wyoming. Still being shut out by 5th-ranked TCU. Well, Dave Christensen, the head coach of Wyoming, remembers first play of the game. The double pass that went to Travis Burkhalter for 40 yards. Since then, only 90 yards of offense generated by Dax Crum and the Cowboys. Misery since, and being shut out. Crum keeps. Stood up. Sent backwards right away. Karen Cuba. Impressive open field tackle on Dax Crum.
Karen Kuba is one of those guys that just finds a way to show up around the football and flies around. You see him coming down from the safety position right here at the bottom of your screen, stays home. That's playing assignment football. And the first play of the game that they got those 40 yards on, Wyoming was able to hit him over the top because there was busted assignments. But coming down from that safety position, Karen Kuba does a great job staying home.
Alexander On the delay handoff. Tracked down. Swarm of purple jerseys and sent down. Johnny Fobbs, junior from right here in Fort Worth, got there among many Horned Frog defenders. And Fobbs is still down.
Well, Dave, if you want to know why this defense is third in the country for what they do, look at the purple jerseys swarming to the football as Alexander tries to run the draw. They're relentless. 3 hats right there on them and another 4 or 5 in tow.
So the junior, Johnny Fobbs, being looked at by trainers.
Molly Karam here in the New York studios. Quick update on this Bama Gamecocks matchup. Marcus Lattimore, his second TD on the day, this one on the ground, puts South Carolina up 2 TDs as we near the 4th quarter. Dave, it's all you.
We'll keep a close eye on that one. How about that, Molly? Number 1 Alabama coming off the big impressive win over Florida last week, 31-6. South Carolina lost to Auburn in week 5. 3rd down here for Wyoming. From the play fake. Throws. McNeil intended receiver, broken up incomplete near midfield. Good play on defense by Chris Gardner, backup linebacker in coverage, running stride for stride with McNeil.
I got to tell you what, Dave, this is impressive. This is a perfect thrown football, and right at the last minute, Chris Gardner looks over his inside shoulder, exactly what he's supposed to do, puts his hand up because that ball was on the money. Chris McNeil was wide open, had gotten behind the safety. That's just a heads-up play, and that speaks to the coaching of this TCU defense.
Junior from Arlington. Curley. Back deep, lets that one go over his head. Takes a nice cowboy bounce. To the 12. TCU gets it back. Up by a bunch. With the help of Home Depot, here are the tools to victory. Aaron Taylor, break it down for us.
Well, they're using the same tools they've used since Gary Patterson got here, and that's swarming defense. This defense for the Horned Frogs has been stifling today. They seem to be a step ahead of this offense, using athletic ability, swarming to the football, gang tackling. There's not too many secrets as to why this defense is number 3 in the country. I'd like to see TCU take on anybody's offense.
New quarterback here, Aaron. Yogi Gallegos will get some time, and Piers Andy Dalton's day is done, and a job well done. Back up the 45-0 lead. Sophomore from right here in the Metroplex. Casey Pawhall, a redshirt freshman, is actually listed as the 2nd quarterback. But Gallegos gets the snaps here in the one-sided game with Wyoming.
Well, Paul Hall had some snaps that he took last week and has been the backup. This may be Gary Patterson's way of trying to get some experience to another one of his younger players that's going to have to step in and be a difference maker next year.
Rochelle and Napton on the tackle. Rochelle Fort getting some time here. A lot of reserves for the Horned Frogs will get in. And those can be valuable snaps for the youngins.
No question, and particularly against this Wyoming team. Obviously, this is a pretty lopsided game, and coming in, Wyoming was 2-3, but this is a much better team than their record indicates. Remember, this is the 3rd top 5 team that Wyoming has played with a flag on the play.
Flags fly. Gallegos sent down hard. Gabe Napton. Oliver Schober on the tackle.
Hold. Offense, number 64. Half the distance to the goal. Replay, 3rd down.
So top 5 updates, AP poll. South Carolina. Molly has been updating us from the studio. Trying to hang on against Alabama. Very late going in the 3rd quarter there. Ohio State had a big day, Aaron, today from Terrell Pryor.
Yeah, he did. Threw for 334 yards through the air. And when you take a look at what's happening, his counterpart, Jannard Robinson, against Michigan State, you'd have to think that clearly the best player on a team that's contending for the national championship for a traditional power, and Terrell Pryor is going to be the Heisman favorite coming out of the weekend.
The 3rd quarter has just ended at Bryce Williams Stadium in Columbia. Going to the 4th. James carries, gets himself out to the 19-yard line, shy of the first down. Weston Huff back up corner for Wyoming, makes the tackle defensively. He's backing up to Sean and Marcel Gibson at the cornerback spot. The Gibsons, lots of family here. They're both from Dallas. Up to 50. Who is that? Anson Kelton. TCU has not needed Anson in this game. He is, in fact, the largest punter in FBS, 280 pounds. And he's had a nice year with the average, as you see. David Leonard deep to receive. Kelton's punt. Nearly blocked. Fair catch called for by Leonard. And he grabs it at the 32. Timeout on the field in Fort Worth, Texas. Back underway. Haran the carry. Bryson stud Nika. Big fullback trying to spring him on a block. Well, this game started at 2:30 Central Time, Aaron. TCU 27-1 in the last 6 years at home. About to be 28-1. Their only loss, 2007 to Wyoming. 24-21. Not the case today, though.
No.
All TCU all the time. Second down. Crum lets one fly to Leonard. Makes the catch. At the 46, chains will move for Wyoming. Something positive, finally, for the Cowboys. Gain of 10.
Yeah, David Leonard is a senior captain for this team, and their go-to guy had 77 catches a year ago and sits inside that soft zone defense of TCU, and a lot of backups in there on the defensive side of the ball, but the level of expectation, even though the backups are in, is still the same that it's going to be.
David Reed led the Mountain West last year in catches. Leonard was third with 77. Reed had 81 grabs for the Utes in 2009. Dexter. Haran brings it in. Cuba tackles him inside the 20-yard line. Nice wheel route run by Haran, and a big play of 39 yards for the Cowboys.
Haran doing a good job coming out of the backfield just in one-on-one coverage to Karen Cuba out on the outside, and again, that's a mismatch. When you get that much speed coming out of the backfield against a safety, it's huge.
Another shutout streak. How long has it been? 1955. Now that team, Aaron, had 3 consecutive shutouts over Texas Tech, Arkansas, and Alabama. They later shut out Rice in 55. What a year defensively it was for the Horned Frogs back in the 1950s. Abe Martin was the head coach then. Wyoming trying to get on the board and snap this long streak of shutout football for TCU. And wouldn't it be nice finally, Aaron, for the Cowboys to get a point in the fourth quarter? I looked at that number, getting ready for this game. I was just shocked. Only Buffalo and Louisiana Lafayette.
And a big reason for that is the situation that Wyoming's been in. Dave Christensen said, hey, we've been so far down in ball games, I don't want to just get points on the board. I want to give my team a chance to win and continue to compete.
Drum keeps, and Cuba puts him down. And Karen Cuba read that play very well and made the tackle.
So in those situations when Christensen's had the opportunities like he did against Texas, instead of kicking field goals, he's elected to try and go for it on fourth down. So it'll be interesting to see how on third down here, how he handles this situation. Keeping your eye there on Dax Crum's head as it hits the ground pretty hard, and that chin strap shakes free.
The backup Emery Miller is a true freshman. Coach Christensen told us yesterday did not want to use him. So Crum stays in. Dax stands in, throws. Intercepted. Picked off by Tyler Luttrell. And TCU keeps the shutout going, in the late going against Wyoming.
This is just a poor decision. A little bit of pressure in his face, trying to get the football to Chris McNeil. Just tries to force the football. You're down there close inside. You're a young quarterback on the road. You want to get something to happen. Luttrell makes a heads-up play, steps in front of the football. That is merely just a poor decision by Dax Crum, and you can't credit the young man. He was trying to make something happen, but their scoreless streak in the fourth quarter continues.
Gallegos stays in. Andre Dean, the fourth running back on the carry. Let's go back to Molly Karam in the studios in New York.
Guys, thanks. Alabama at South Carolina. Quick update here. Greg McElroy, 51 yards to Darius Hanks, pulls Bama within 7. This was the first play in the fourth quarter. And guys, it looks like we'll have a good finish here. Dave.
No question, Molly. Now that Oregon game, they've taken a lead on Washington State. Underway in the second quarter, 15-14. Ducks third ranked. Dean carries there, be a first down. For TCU, chains will move. We know Ohio State at number 2 with a big game from Terrell Pryor has won already. To stay undefeated, TCU certainly will do that. Boise State heavily favored tonight against Toledo in the Mid-American Conference. So really, things are hinging on what happens in Columbia, South Carolina in that last quarter of play.
There's no question that would be the biggest win in South Carolina history. The highest ranked team they've ever beaten was North Carolina back in 1981 when they were ranked 3rd.
Dean hit by Browner pretty hard in the open field. Let's take a look at our Macy's stat comparison. Points, rushing yards, passing yards. Wow, what a day. What balance for TCU today.
Well, that's
unbelievable.
That's a trademark of this offense, Dave. They're a run football first team. They haven't had as much success throwing the football coming into this game as they had running it, but today that's exactly where Gary Patterson would want to be. Extremely, extremely balanced. There were several games last year where literally to the yard this team was balanced in both play call and production.
Gallegos bounces it to himself and then turns nothing into something offensively for TCU. Nice run on a first down. Henry Browder back up. Free safety from the Austin, Texas area makes the tackle. But there's a flag down.
Love the intensity.
Offense, number 62. 10-yard penalty, replay, second down.
Love the intensity as you see Gary Patterson say, what, who was that? Who was that? 62? Jeff Olson? What? Oh, come on, Jeff. What are you doing? The level of expectation he has for his team is tremendous. That is one of the finest coaches in college football history. What he's been able to do here, certainly in TCU history rather, what he's been able to do here has been tremendous. And what makes him so good, Dave, is the way he develops players. He recruits safeties and turns them into linebackers. He recruits linebackers and turns them into defensive linemen.
And they're all great athletes, right?
Exactly.
Catch made by Fuller, back up tight end. The tight ends continue to have a nice day. That's Corey Fuller's first catch of the day. Coming up tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern, we conclude a doubleheader of college football on the CBS College Sports Network. We go from Fort Worth to Houston. Mississippi State of the SEC takes on Houston, followed by Inside College Football Extra at 11:30 Eastern Time. Interesting matchup there. Bryce Bell leads Conference USA in rushing. He'll be very tough to stop for the Bulldogs. Last year in Starkville, Houston won on the road, one of 3 wins over FBS teams, AQ teams. That great start for Houston. Dean running hard, trampling Cowboy tacklers in the process across the 40 to the 41. Andre Dean, the sophomore from the Houston area, very impressive.
Well, this defense is just going to try and bring some pressure on the inside, creating some room on the outside. They try and bring Devin Harris. There's nobody to contain. They don't hold their rules, and it just creates an edge where their defense wasn't able to set it. Tremendous run out on that outside edge by Andre Dean.
Today's 1st and 10 line being brought to you by Lexus. Gallegos to Dean again. Browder makes the tackle again, along with Gabe Napton defensively for Wyoming. Now to about the 44. You know, that Luttrell interception snapped a 4-pick streak for TCU of pick sixes. 4 in a row had been interceptions brought back for touchdowns, and fans like that love it.
Yeah.
No question. That's great defense right there.
Maybe we'll hang out with that person after the game. Look like they're having some fun. Halloween comes early here in Fort Worth.
Big numbers. False start will back up TCU 5.
Before the ball is snapped, false start, offense, number 86, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Tight end Corey Fuller just had a catch a few moments ago. He had one grab last week against Colorado State from Casey Pawhall, who had been listed as the second quarterback, but Gallegos getting the snaps in the late going here today. Dean again.
Dave, if you want to know why coaches put their twos in, that last penalty is exactly one of those reasons why. Sometimes you get young players that aren't used to taking real snaps. They get in the game and they get a little bit nervous. So these are great opportunities when the lead looks to be secure late into the fourth quarter, that you can get some real game experience both from the quarterbacks, running backs, and all positions, especially those big boys up front. These are very meaningful snaps in terms of the development of football teams.
Marcel Fort lined up to the right of Gallegos here. On third down, Fort has the carry. Makes one tackler miss. Alex Toney makes the tackle. Defensively for the Cowboys. As time winds down on Wyoming's fourth loss of the year, TCU will go to 6-0. It's been a very tough day for that man, Marty English, defensive coordinator for Wyoming. Back to the drawing board, and a talented and probably very angry BYU team is next for them. Excuse me, Utah's next for them. TCU's got Utah, BYU.
Yep. BYU has enough problems.
Yeah. Kelton back in. Leonard. Fair caught at the 10. Cowboys get it back. Under 2 minutes left in the fourth. 45-0 big lead for TCU. Let's go back down to Kaylee, joined by Kelsey Patterson, the coach's wife, who had that great intel yesterday, right?
That's right, Dave. Now, Kelsey, we started off the broadcast telling everyone how you were the one who actually broke the news to Coach Patterson that Austin Carter-Samuels wasn't making the trip with Wyoming. How much is football a part of your life?
It's a big part. I think for marriages to be successful, you have to love it. And, the joke at our house is that in July when 2 days start, I'll see you in December.
Thanks, Kelsey.
Absolutely.
Found out, the coach did, that Austin Carter-Samuels would not be the starting quarterback for Wyoming. Alexander carries there and nothing doing because Kelsey had the alerts going on email and cell phones. She was getting text alerts essentially anytime Gary Patterson's name comes up on the internet, which would be thousands of times, she gets alert as well. And she saw that yesterday on Twitter. Someone had tweeted that Austin Carter-Samuels was not on the plane when the team landed here in Dallas-Fort Worth yesterday, which was true. Quarterback's back home in Laramie, injured, undisclosed injury. Should be back next week, we're told. Not many head coaches' wives, Aaron, are that in tune, locked into what's happening.
Yeah, she's got a pretty good radar and sniffer on her. And I think that really kind of epitomizes and highlights the role of the coach's wife in college football and the difference between that and on the professional level. On the college level, a coach's wife is really an ambassador or the first lady. She goes out, she raises money, she's involved in the community. Whereas in the NFL, they're virtually silent and you never hear of them. And Kelsey's just a perfect example of what's good about this, not only the sport, but specifically TCU and Fort Worth, and why Gary Patterson is very happy here.
The Karen Cuba trying to make the tackle on Alexander, and Vester loses the helmet at the end of that play. A little frustration for Alexander, trying to get into the face of some of the TCU defenders. Kenny Kane makes the tackle there for the Horned Frogs. Dominance would be an understatement, Aaron, in this game today.
Well, I mean, on both sides of the football defensively, not being able to turn the ball over, give up any points, and just being able to operate at a high level on both sides of the football. This defense ranked third coming into today, and who knows, maybe second by the time the weekend's done. It's really the trademark and the staple of this team, but offensively the balance, the athleticism, the power up front and the offensive line. This TCU team is not a fluke and very well deserving of its 5th ranking heading into today's game.
Wyoming just helpless, and nice move there for Gary Patterson. Did not have his star return man, Jeremy Curley, out for that punt. In the final moments, didn't want anything else to happen in terms of the score. It does not. And that's it. Style points and a lot of points. 45-0 the final. Back-to-back shutouts for the first time since 1955. What balance, what power from TCU today.
Just really impressive, this team. I mean, I think because they're from a non-automatic qualifying conference, the assumption is that they're not a good football team, but I would dare anybody to throw on game film and not just watching it on a broadcast sitting on your couch, but really break it down from an X's and O's standpoint and look at the power that they have up front in the left tackle, Marcus Cannon, Zach Roth at the right tackle, the athleticism of a Jake Kirkpatrick. It's just tremendous.
Take a look, Aaron, at the Sonic quality drive.
I mean, Jeremy Curley, he got it done on the ground without a shoe. That's how effective he is. Coming to the game, 149 all-purpose yards, was tremendous today. Sky Dawson showing his speed on the outside, getting into the mix, and Ed Wesley just a powerful running, refusing to get brought down to the ground from day one, from minute one. This TCU team was impressive and dominant on both sides of the football.
Well, that drive, something else. And Wesley, a powerful touchdown run. Kaylee joined by Gary Patterson.
Thanks, Dave. Coach Patterson, second shutout in a row. Yesterday you told us that the Baylor game was the only game you really thought your team came to play. What do you think today?
Well, offensively, I felt like they did what they needed to do. You know, we ran the ball. We got twos in by the middle of the third quarter. And on the last drive, we had all our twos in on defense, and I was proud of them that they ended up stopping them. So, we're going to keep going. You know, you got to prepare for the whole season. We got half of the left, 6 games, and get ready to go.
Next 2 games, BYU and Air Force. What's your game plan?
Well, for me, you got to win by 1 point, but they're both at home. The biggest thing about BYU is it's always been a great ball game. I know they'll play the best game of the year, and then you have Air Force, which is always a battle. So in conference, you just got to get ready to play one at a time.
Thanks very much, Coach. Congratulations.
Thanks for having me here.
Back to you, Dave.
Kaylee, Coach, thank you. Let's take a look at our LG player of the game. Without question, Aaron Taylor, it's got to be Andy Dalton. Efficient, 14 of 17, 270 yards, 3 touchdowns, and again, managing the game so well. He's a pretty good running quarterback. I love the number at the bottom, no picks.
Yeah, and again, the number that speaks the most for Andy Dalton is the win category. He's been tremendous, but so far this year at home, 715 yards, completed 82% of his passes, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. There is no mystery as to why this TCU team, 5th in the country, 6-0, looking for more.
College football on the CBS College Sports Network is being brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15%. Call Geico at 1-800-947-AUTO or visit geico.com. By Icy Hot. Goes on icy to dull the pain, then gets hot to relax it away. And by Sonic, America's drive-in.
Welcome back to Fort Worth, 5th largest city in Texas, named after William Jenkins Worth, U.S. Army hero. Heroes on the field, certainly 45-0 for TCU, a huge victory, and one of those is Andy Dalton, joined by Kaylee.
Andy, your passing completion percentage here at home, 3 games, over 80%. How does that make you feel?
I mean, it feels good to come out and play like we did today. We really executed really well, and we got a big win.
What kind of statement do you think that makes to the BCS pollsters?
I think it makes a big statement for us to come in, score 45 points, and not give up any to give up our second straight shutout. I mean, I think that speaks for itself.
Absolutely. Congratulations on the engagement. Great game.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.
Great week for Andy Dalton, Kaylee, right? How about that? Engaged in a 45-0 shutout win over Wyoming in the Mountain West Conference as well. An impressive victory for this team. October 17th, the first BCS poll comes out. So yeah, you think pollsters, computers, everyone's going to be impressed as we take a look at the Travelers Insurance game highlights, Aaron.
Well, just Jeremy Curley early on in the first quarter doing a double move on Shamil Gary, does a great job. And then Bart Johnson, same thing. They really went after Shamil Gary early in his aggressiveness. And then tiptoeing down the back end zone line was Antoine Hicks. Dalton just doing a tremendous job of delivering the football. And I tell you what, Gary Patterson, whose team hadn't put a full game together, has to feel good about today's performance.
19 straight regular season wins. They've won 20 of 21 overall. Of course, that loss to Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl, the lone blemish on what has been a tremendous run of dominance for Andy Dalton, the active wins leader in FBS and TCU. Our final 45-0 second straight shutout for the TCU defense. For Aaron Taylor, Kaylee Hartung, and our entire CBS College Sports Network crew, I'm Dave Bryant saying so long. For scores, highlights, features, and more, go to CBSCollegeSports.com. This has been a presentation of the CBS College Sports Network. After the break, Inside College Football Live with Molly Karen, Brian Jones, and Randy Krause. So long, everyone, from Fort Worth.